We're live. All right. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of Climate Actors series, and we're live now. And really want to apologize for the for coming live late a bit. We had a bit of some technical issues, but we're live now. It's all great. Thank you again, Francis. I hope I'm correct in pronouncing the name.
Francess Awunor. It's all good.
Francess Awunor. All right. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Welcome again to the fourth episode. We are glad to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, viewers, if you're watching us, I will just leave it to Francis to introduce herself. Uh, I might not say a lot of things about her because she knows them more. Uh, she's a water policy expert and climate change expert as well, and a co-founder. So I'll just leave it to you to take it over from there. Introduce yourself. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Elijah. Hi, everyone. My name is Francess Awunor, and I'm a water policy analyst, like Elijah has earlier mentioned, as well as a climate change expert. Originally a lawyer, called to the
Yes.
Nigerian bar, and transitioned to environmental law through to climate change and water policy. I received an African Union scholarship from Pan African University, Water and Energy Sciences Institute in Algeria, where I finished with masters in water policy, including climate change.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I have been pursuing my career in water policy and sustainability, as touching on climate change, as touching on sustainable environment. Environmental sustainability has been the course of my work, and I also pursue a strong career in youth development for Africa. I am the founder of the AfriConvo series, which we host and bring together young people across African countries in the continent, and
Mhm.
we raise conversations that border on um, expertise, youth expertise, as touching on Africa's development,
Yeah.
and we also bring experts in their different sectors to talk about how youth can volunteer their skills to continental development. I'm also the co-founder of Rural Water Filtration Kit, also known as RUWAFIKI. RUWAFIKI is an initiative that brought a social enterprise initiative that was started by five young water experts from four different African countries, and we designed a sustainable water treatment kit that um, purifies or filters waters for rural community households. We have
Mhm.
also piloted in Uganda and some communities, rural communities in Zambia as we speak. I currently work with Brawl Nigeria. It's a multinational property company where I work in one of the sites as a sustainability manager and admin lead. So I hope that covers a whole lot of introduction.
Yes. You'd give a full and apt introduction. So thank you very much once again for coming to share your experience with us. So basically, this series basically is for professionals in the climate and sustainability sector, where they come to share their experience, uh, you know, in the journey of being in this domain in order to also inspire others to take action. I mean, because the world now, due to increase in global warming, is pushing a lot of people and global leaders to focus on how to tackle and how to mitigate climate change, because it's actually causing a lot of havoc, especially in Africa, where we have the lowest percentage in terms of emissions of greenhouse gases. All right. Just as she said that she was first of all a lawyer before venturing or switching career into the climate or environmental sustainability sector. And so it's quite intriguing to know how she switched. So we want to, first of all, I think that the first question we would like to ask you is, um, coming from a law background and then going into science, how did that happen and what motivated you to do this kind of a rare switch? Because we don't see it like often.
Thank you very much, Elijah. First of all, I'll say the beauty of law is it's multidisciplinary, cuts across every discipline, and there is always something legal to every discipline. And when it comes to the environment, there are policies set around environmental actions in every country, every nation as we speak.
Mhm,
So my journey from law to what I'll term environmental, almost the science aspect of the environment, started from my undergraduate years when I in my penultimate year, I chose to do the environmental law. So
okay.
that was sort of a point where we could specialize at some point. We could choose courses that were like specific to our interests. And
Mhm,
I chose environmental law. And we had some sort of environmental sensitization. We had like an organization back in school, and this continually grew my interest in environmental law. And as at the time, environmental law just opposed with oil and gas. So
mhm,
as it pertains to maritime, oil and gas, and the environmental policies that govern this aspect. So after
yeah,
which I was to go to law school, and we had some sort of strike in Nigeria. That gave some level of, space to do something in the maritime sector. And I took the opportunity to do some shipping maritime short course, and this
mhm,
continually grew my interest. So whilst on that journey to maritime and all that, I realized the major problem that I think I'm more passionate about is the pollution going on. It's the pollution as opposed to the money aspect. I know it's very weird for one to see a part where you can make money and choose to go to the part where you care for something other than your own interests.
right.
And, looking at how the aquatic animals don't have advocates that cannot speak for themselves. They need
Mhm,
advocates and the like. So, I grew more interested in, water, life below the sea, the pollution that goes on in the maritime environment and the likes. So that was where I used to leverage for an African Union scholarship and going in for a water policy study with African Union on the Pan African University in Algeria, North Africa. It exposed me to a lot of sciences. The switch was, you know, it was inspiring, to see a lot of people from different backgrounds. And I would say that the switch was nothing short of amazing and
mhm,
difficult. And I had to switch from learning from reading, just reading for theoretical things, to literally calculating. I remember like having
mhm,
my colleagues laugh at me when I do like calculations. I have We had amazing professors. They were willing to put us through, regardless of how the backgrounds were sort of um, far fetched from each
yeah.
other. So that really helped. And I'll say that the switch moved from, it wasn't as easy, as pleasant in the beginning, or as long as I was determined, I think it moved really fast. And thankfully, with determination, I put in more study part to it when I saw I needed to move up with grades and the likes.
Yes.
And it really helped to get better grades. And I think I'm so glad I could boldly say, like, I was able to graduate with an A from
Awesome.
water
Awesome.
policy. Yes.
Oh,
Imagine doing all the sciences I've never done in my life, or
yeah.
doing the so doing it with passion, doing with the help of my colleagues that were all from science background, really helped to put me on that good pedestal to continue the practice. And
Awesome.
that's yeah.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, it's quite, as I said earlier, it's intriguing to see how you switch from law to science because it's quite rare, right? It's easier to see people switch from science to other, fields. Uh, I mean,
Yes,
yes, but the other way around is quite not seen as much.
as much.
And this is a good success story to encourage others who also want to, switch careers or switch fields of study, uh, telling them that it's possible. You just need to put in the work and determination, just as you said.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. So we want to go into now the area of where you have expertise in now, which is climate change, water policy, and environmental sustainability. So we see that climate change is adversely affecting uh, the aspect of water availability in rural areas, um, causing water scarcity, and people are being forced to migrate to other places in order to seek for amenities and services. So what can you say in like regionally Africa in the African context? What can you say? What are the policies and strategies, both regionally and locally? What are those strategies and policies you think can be adapted? We can use to to adapt to these climate change problems. What are those policies you can adopt to tackle this issue?
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Elijah.
You're welcome.
In relation to water scarcity in rural communities in Africa, I'm glad that I sort of have been privileged to work and sort of generate research in that
Mm-hmm.
aspect, both with the African Observatory for Science, Technology and Innovation, where we worked on water policy for African countries and innovation surrounding, water technologies for African
Yes.
countries. And also working with RUWAFIKI exposes towards the situation with African rural communities that don't have access or lack the adequate access to water. Climate change, we can go all about the impact of climate change on the environment and why we have shortage of availability of water in African in countries or African countries. I remember while we started, you mentioned Elijah, you mentioned we have we have the least emission of greenhouse gases coming
Yes.
from Africa. But guess what? We have most of the impact
Mm-hmm.
from this end. So going into some research with Wascal in Benin Republic, we saw that Africa is at more risk to experiencing the effects of
Yeah.
climate change, in as much as they are the lesser contributors to the greenhouse gases emission. So that doesn't take us out of the world of effects. Now, the effect of climate change on water resources is definitely closely linked to shortage of availability. Availability will be scarce in countries. What are the policies that government or non-governmental bodies or activist organization are putting in place? What policies, what strategies are they
Mm-hmm.
putting in place? We have a lot of policies come up in African documentation, African government documentations. We have so many relating to the the ICCC discussions relating to international climate change charter and everything. So we see a lot of African government sort of bringing policies from the international space on climate change. But the question is, locally, how much of adaptation, how much of innovation is going into place to enable us have more climate resilient cities? That is
Mm-hmm.
the big question. Because we can have the policies go on and all about what the international sphere is saying, but if we don't have localization, if we don't have the on ground localization of our actions rather. We're not going to see so much in these rural communities in
Right.
as much as we don't see in the cities. So if we look more into that, we see that what is most important is what are the actions that are
Mm-hmm.
being taken. So there are several innovations that have been exposed by young Africans in the continent on climate resilient practices. Many of these young people are championing the cause on by themselves or pushing the cause to more of international partners to help sponsor. If
Yeah.
The government of the African countries can recognize these innovations, these climate smart innovations, and imbibe them into their own actions as government actions, it will go a long way in moving from policies to actions, and that will bring more results to the African community.
Right, right, right. You've rightly said. I mean, there are policies already there on paper, but what is missing is implementation, putting them into action, and making them come into manifestation for it to achieve what it's supposed to achieve practically. Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. Yes. So you actually mentioned some of the things I wanted to ask in the next question. Like during your time at the West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adapted Use. So you did a bit of assessment there, right? During your stay there. Uh, so can you just give us some of the things you saw there, or some of the things you you know that were discussed there in terms of coming up with climate resilience practices, and in how to mitigate the impact of climate change on water resources in West Africa.
Very well. Thank you so much. So relating to Wascal, I hope you can still hear me.
Yes, please, I can.
Very well. So relating to Wascal, I was at the Wascal in 2019 under the Pan African University. Some of us were selected to attend, and this was focused on climate smart activities or research rather for West African countries,
Mm-hmm.
and it took place in Benin Republic, in Abume Calavi in Benin Republic. Now,
Okay.
whilst I was there, we had more into we looked more into like the research aspect to climate data. So
Okay.
for us to generate more research that will be adaptable to policies that will influence policies and then ultimately be implemented, we need to see how far can we go with climate research. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for you to get for you to generate climate data or climate research for a particular um, zone or a particular country or wherever space your research location is intended, one needs to have some degree of information, meteorological information
Right.
for that rainfall data and all of that information. And we identified so many lacuna in terms of data capturing. For you to have research and results on climate data, your data should be spanning from 30 years of
Mm-hmm.
meteorological data. Now, the big question that was put to us is how many how many West African countries have the big data of 30 years?
Mm.
And this really exposed us. We had very sound professors, and this really exposed us to my country, Nigeria. Found out that historical wise, yes, we had some level of collection, but down the line, the collection pattern got broken apart. There's no documentation in better archive systems.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we have a parastatal that doesn't keep this data in a more technological archive system that will help it stay over the years. And
Yeah.
using paper has brought a lot of like missing data. So it was more of like a challenge. As it stands, for us to generate data for Nigeria in terms of climate data that can be actionable,
Yeah.
the young people that are interested in climate need to begin to collect data. So we need to start having rainfall data. I know rainfall data, it has to be consistently progressive. Like it has to be, it has to follow a consistent collection, you know, pattern. And that collection pattern, if the government is slack on it, and the government is looking more into reactive action, the young people involved in climate change research need to begin to take that proactive step, because a time will come when we need to develop the research that can be used for more informed decision in terms of the climate for Africa. And when
Right.
that time comes, do we have 30 years of data?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
big question. So we
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of professors and experts back in the time that have been able to store data. So as many as possible that can work with those professors to begin to archive them in better archive systems for
Mm-hmm.
future research purposes. The history determines the future, and it's
Yeah.
very important that we generate all of that. Without even more informed climate data for Nigeria or wherever, we already see the impact of climate change, the
Mm-hmm.
rainfall increase, the sea level rise, and all of
Yeah.
that.
So,
We are now having to push back the sea level because it's coming even more further. So without even the data, it's the effect or the impact of climate change is even visible. Lake Chad is shrinking. Every of those things are happening. So what more do we do to get more informed decisions to avoid future um, issues? We need
mm-hmm.
to start doing now. So that was
Yeah.
one of the major takeaway from my stay at the Wascal institution.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I mean, all you've said is right and correct. I mean, data in terms of decision making, data is very paramount. Data is very important in order for government, for officials, the private sector to also take action and make decisions that will favor the aspect of tackling climate change. Because without data, how are you gonna know what has been happening before and what you need to do now? Uh, so data is very important. Data is very important. Uh, Thank you very much for that. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah. All right. So now from Wascal, you were in the Pan African University. You went to Wascal. So let's come now to your time at the Pan African University. You did like a research. I think it was part of your thesis research, right? Where you
Yes.
evaluated the impact of uh, of water sector towards there is an implementation, or rather there's like a kind of a strategy being set up for Africa, the Science, Technology, and Innovation Strategy for Africa 2024, right? So can you tell us what you later found out during your research about this?
Okay, thank you very much. So my research was on the impact of assessing the impact of water sector innovations and relating to the science, technology, and innovation strategy for Africa 2024. It's
Yeah.
TISA, and TISA is currently or was is definitely an African Union strategy
Mm-hmm.
and being manned by the African Observatory for Science, Technology, and Innovation in Equatorial Guinea, Malabo.
Okay.
And um, my research was working together with the institution to decipher how much of innovation, how much of water research innovation have been implemented, and how can we juxtapose research and development, um, research and development um, efforts of the
Yes.
African Union government. How much can we determine how far can we see the research and development effort go in terms
Mm-hmm.
of water innovations across African countries? So let me break it down. The research and innovation example that was cited in my research was the
Mm-hmm.
Pan-African University. So the
Okay.
Pan-African University is a research and development scholarship for African students, and we have different institutes, and the institute that manages or that covers everything water is the Pan-African University Institute for Water and Energy Sciences in
Yeah.
Algeria, and the PAWES, that is PAWES.
Yes. Yeah.
And under PAWES, we have the Water Policy and Water Engineering Department. So the water policy and water engineering students of every year they have a thesis and they present their thesis to the institution, which can be archived, and the recommendations and solutions can go a long way in bettering the African countries to which the recommendations are made. So we
Mm-hmm.
have so many innovative ideas being put and captured in those research. Some work on any African country you can mention. Many of the African countries are covered there. So my research was to cover a statistic presentation gap as well. Why do I say this? So we had a big gap between the science, technology, and innovation strategy for Africa when it comes to water research
Yeah.
and the actual R&D scholarship that African Union has put in place, where we cannot measure if that R&D scholarship is helping to meet the strategy of the STIZA policy
Mm-hmm.
in terms of water. So that to bridge that gap, there is need for a statistical analysis of how much of this research from the students are being
Yeah.
put in place in African countries.
Mm-hmm.
And them being put in place shows that the pillars and the vision of the STIZA policy is being met
Yeah.
very well. So the Pan African University has their own mandate and all of that. We needed to see, is there even a link between the mandate of the R&D scholarship of the African Union in terms of water and the STIZA policy in terms of water? Because should their mandate be different, we cannot be linking them. So that
Yes.
was the first objective of the research. Finding that, okay, using some of the research documents and mandates for the establishment of the Pan African University Scholarship, we could juxtapose that with some of the vision of the STIZA policy. Okay, we established there was a link. Then going forward to now see how much of the research has been able to hit or achieve the pillars and the effect that the STIZA policy had intended for Africa.
Yeah.
That was where we took research for research, looked into how much of the research by students covered African countries, how many African countries have been covered by this research, how
Mm-hmm.
much of this research covers innovation, how much of this research covers policy and governance for water, how much of this research covers matters relating to climate change,
Yeah.
flooding, and all of that. So that research provided a statistics upon which, as opposed to getting a consultant to doing all that research, the research I was able to generate was a result of a consultation that would
Mm-hmm.
help the African Union sit and now say, okay, we have seen this strategy for 2024 go for a couple of years, and we are approaching 2024. how much of how much of the strategy have we been able to achieve using this scholarship? Because remember, the strategy is for innovation,
Right.
science, technology, and innovation strategy for Africa. How much of this have we been able to achieve in terms of the water sector using the scholarship that we have created for R&D in Africa? That
Mm-hmm.
the recommendations in the research will help the African Union water experts to determine if there needs to be a shift in the positioning of water for R&D scholarship in Africa. Also
Mm-hmm.
will help to determine if all the strategies, pillars of the strategies have been achieved, and where they haven't been achieved, how much more needs to be done
Yeah.
through empowering young people through scholarship. Because the young minds are the ones that generate innovative ideas.
Yes.
for African countries. And now, how many of the innovative ideas, that's the last part of what the research seeks to point to the policymakers and also the reviewers of the policy in the future. It also points to them to see how much of this suggested innovation by the students have become implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, after my research, just whilst doing my research, because I remember introducing the research and going on it like a consultation, right? And it was during COVID-19. But thankfully, immediately at that time, the Pan African University Entrepreneurship Group introduced and launched an innovation challenge.
Oh,
You see, so the innovation challenge was championed around what are the innovation of the students for African countries and how
yeah.
can they begin to encourage them. So that's a step in the right direction for my research because it's already doing what it's intended in terms of bringing to mind what those were part of my recommendations that some of the innovative ideas in the research need not just lay fallow, but they should
Yeah.
be encouraged by, bringing in those who wrote the research to see how much they can do. Also
Mhm.
absorbing them into the right organizations or African establishments in the countries they propose these research solutions so that it will just
Yeah.
flow from
Yes.
research to action.
Action.
And
Right.
yes, yes.
Right.
So that
Right.
was what my research was able to cover. It's more institutional as opposed to, you know, water technology related
Okay,
research.
awesome. I mean, and that aspect is really quite key because when you have um, the, let's say, the technical aspects ready and there are no policies to back these things up, there are no strategies, there are not roadmap to do them, it will be quite difficult. And that's the importance of R&D in terms of project implementation and taking action in the in making something happen, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. um, Thank you very much for that and for
Thank
sharing
you.
because what you got from the evaluation. um, so now, right, before, because we are quite close to time, so you are a co-founder of the RUWAFIKA. Just to mention,
RUWAFIKI.
do you know the name? The name actually, I'm from the northern part of Nigeria, and Ruwa means water, right? Ruwa means water. So when I saw the name,
Hmm.
I was like RUWAFIKI. I was like, water, okay. Can you see?
Wow. We
I don't know.
never ever thought of it.
Wow.
Never.
So
Never.
so it actually aligns. Ruwa means
Wow.
water. Yeah.
Wow.
So I just kind of noticed it today. At first, when I saw the name, I didn't it didn't come like to my mind, but quite amazing that the name just fits in
Hmm.
to water
Wow.
in another language as well. Awesome. So, can you tell us what inspired the startup? What inspired you guys to come up with this startup? Since you're a co-founder, what was the inspiration behind it? Yes, and
All right.
just to add another question so that you can just answer them all together. Uh, Apart from that, you emerged as best team from Africa at the Geneva Challenge in 2019. So if you could answer both of them at the same time, what
All
inspired
right.
uh, you to come up with your organization? And yeah,
Okay. All right. First of all, Ruafiki meaning something water in another language that is huge. I'm so happy that
yeah,
it really flows. Because funny enough, I remember awesome team. We have a very awesome team. I remember when it comes to creativity or thinking of something, a name or something,
yeah,
they always saddled me with that responsibility. I don't know why. And I remember just saying, okay, what are we generating? What are we trying to design? We're trying to design a filtration kit that will be used by young people in Africa. Oh, sorry, I'm always all about young people because of the African Convo series.
yeah,
initiative. Yes. So that's all about um, giving water access to people in rural communities in Africa. And you know, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Very well, okay. And that just say okay, rural water filtration kit. RU, two-letter words from each of them.
Yeah.
Rural, RU, water, WA, filtration, FI, kit, KI. So that
Wow.
was that was how I came about RUWAFIKI and the
Amazing
team just
concept.
yes, that was it. And never ever knew that Rua meant water in any language. That is awesome.
Yeah,
Some
it
people
was.
tell us, yeah, some people tell us it sounds like a Swahili name or something, but it doesn't mean nothing there. So yes, I'm so glad it means something in one language. And more like it in Nigeria. So
Mhm.
Rafiki started in 2019, and one like I mentioned, the scholarship brought together people from different African countries and water experts, energy experts. And the beauty is you see people that are with very diverse ideas,
Yeah.
and you see people you can work with that okay, we can develop something with this idea, because it's one thing to be given the opportunity, one thing to be given the scholarship, it's another thing to give back.
Yes.
And yes. So as a way to give back, okay, fine. We've studied a lot on how to filter water. We've done a lot of labs, done a lot of filtration technology and all of that. How can we come together to do something? And
Mhm.
the initiative really, we got introduced to it majorly by Claydon. Claydon is also a member of our team. Claydon is from
Okay.
Zambia, and he just approached us. Let's do this together, and we came together. Formed a team of five. We have five strong water experts, young water experts, amazing. One
Mhm.
from Zambia, two from Nigeria, one from Tanzania, one from Uganda, and we decided okay, let's design something for rural communities in Africa, looking
Yeah.
at the non-availability or shortage of availability in rural communities to clean water access. How
Mhm.
can we design something that can be used portably in the household? They don't have, not all of them have tap water,
Mhm.
resources. Those in far-reaching rural communities, we want to see how we can put everybody on almost, if possible, the same line of some level of cleanness of water, as
Yeah.
opposed to leaving some behind. And when it comes to water, the focus is leaving no one behind, leaving no one behind, absolutely leaving no one behind. Whenever we celebrate World Water Day, we always remember that major mantra for the last World Water Day being leaving no one behind. So
Yeah.
that focus just, championed a lot of things in terms of our focus for designing the kit. Now, designing the kit, you know, it was it was championed to solve that, and our first motivation was the Geneva challenge. So we had Geneva challenge come up, and we said we can do this, we can put in our idea for this and begin to generate solid prototype idea
Yes.
for this competition. And thankfully, we were able to qualify, and from qualifying, we also were able to come up as the best team from Africa. And we were invited to Geneva in Switzerland, where we pitched our idea at the Geneva Institute.
Yeah.
And we met amazing people from many other, regions of the world. And we were able to pitch our ideas with them as well. And best team from Africa, and second what's the word now, yes, yes, in terms of the position, and on the second
Yes.
runner up,
Yeah.
yes, that's it. So that's third position, so we're
Yeah.
second runner up. So it was amazing, and we met great people to partner with. We were also able to get strong partnership from Geneva Challenge. And after that, we didn't stop there. We were also invited to Mexico, where we had representation from our team. Played on go to
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, and we also were the best team from Africa represented in that Heineken Challenge in Mexico.
Nice.
And we have also been able to develop what helped us going is whilst we received our reward for winning those challenges, we were using
Yeah.
them to develop the prototype.
Amazing. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
as opposed to when people have ideas and they see a funding and they lavish on personal use, we decided no, we're going to use it to design our prototype. So we got our certification um, from Mexico. We've
Mm-hmm.
also got our prototype 3D prototype kit was designed and sent from Mexico as well. And then we also continued with our work, and we got also Chain Makers Africa partnership with African Union,
Mm-hmm.
HP Live, and Chain Makers Africa. We also got to be top five, and we came third in that competition as well. And we got great partnership and sponsorship from HP as well. Then from that, we also had the Singapore International Foundation uh, invite us for the Young Social Enterprise Challenge, and we came also to the finals from that as well. So this is to say that whatever you start strong.
Mm-hmm.
With your team, everybody brainstorming and everything. We can do a lot. And so far the idea is valid, and we always churning the work. I mean,
Yeah.
putting back whatever we get into prototype development and all of that. And the focus being getting water to the remote rural community of Africa. And
Mm-hmm.
so far, we've been able to develop a lot of impact.
Awesome.
Our piloting area, Uganda, and another community in Zambia.
Right. All right. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. Seeing how you guys just started from school and then coming up with something impactful, uh, solving the water problem. I mean, water is life, right? Without water, human beings cannot survive. Um,
Yes,
we need water to survive, and this is quite interesting to see what you guys are doing, and
yes,
the challenges you guys are winning the competitions. I mean, it's going to be from one step to another, higher grounds. You guys are going to, you guys are building a quality product, something that is solving problems. So I believe people will put in their money to invest in this because we have a lot of water problem around, especially in Africa.
we hope so.
Thank you very much for that, and wishing you guys all the best. The Ruwafiki team, as you
Thank you,
guys continue to develop solutions to this problem.
thank you.
All right. I think we are out of time, but I just want to ask you the last question. Looking at how you switch and now you're making impact in this area, in the water climate change area. Uh, so, what advice can you give to young people who are looking to switch academic disciplines? Because I'm sure there are people who are like you who want to leave what not like leave see, but like see somewhere that they see their heart going towards, where they have interest in order to impact lives. So what advice can you give to people in that category?
Okay, okay. I will first say uh, I didn't really leave,
Yeah, that's
like
why I say it's not like
policy governance.
yeah.
So yes, okay.
Using your knowledge here.
Mm-hmm. So, like using all the law, every knowledge you get is always for a reason. I mean,
Right.
definitely life. God doesn't make us go through seasons without making meaning out of it. So,
Exactly.
without having a law background, I might not be able to have strength in water policy,
Mm-hmm.
water governance, which is like more institutionalized as opposed to the science aspect. The only
Yeah.
leverage I was able to get was at the time I was there, my curriculum covered sciences. But after then, the curriculum shifted from sciences to strongly policy and governance alone.
Mm-hmm.
So should I have joined after the year I joined, I would have been on only policy and governance alone. But for the fact that while I was there, I had curriculums in sciences. So I was able to leverage quickly on that and learn some skills in water sciences and the technical aspects of water sciences. And the fact that young people are trying to move from a particular field to another field doesn't mean the old field is useless, because everything
Right.
is contributing to the other. So whatever you are trying to move into, it will take a lot more work. But the truth is, we don't have to feel like those in there know it all, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone learns every day. Academics have in career, I've realized that almost everything we learned in school is not all we apply, and it's not all
Yes.
we need
Yes.
in the practical world. So except you want to go continue in academia, you can say okay, you can continue using your books. Or if you want to excel in the field, you might need to up on certifications, up
Yes.
on on field knowledge and everything. So you might as well just begin to understand now that you're learning as much as the person from the career path that
Mm-hmm.
you're switching into, because everyone is trying to make a way around and everybody's trying to, get it right. So don't ever feel overwhelmed that you don't know it, or you don't, there was a time while studying my master's scholarship, I had like some level of pressure, and
Mm-hmm.
this came from almost like a lecturer, like, okay, you have to. It was when we were doing ArcGIS, and that remains one of my amazing stories. So with the ArcGIS software for
Mm-hmm.
spatial mapping and all that, so I was kind of slow grasping that, and I was sort of under that pressure that, oh, you don't know it, you don't know it. And I had to come to a stand and say, look, I appreciate that I am not in this background. I'm doing my very best. If you won't be patient with me, So I had to, state that right. And a lot of my colleagues said, but it helped. It helped out, because afterwards I started getting more help, better help.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you feel like you need more help, don't be shy to reach out to those
Yeah.
who are good in the field. Don't be shy to say to people that I don't know it. I need
Mm-hmm.
to just take it one step at a time. You might
Yeah.
put in more work, but definitely you get it right. Pursue the certifications. I'm trying to pursue the certifications now, because studying it is different from practical now.
Yes.
You now see a lot of HSC certifications that need to be covered if you want to continue in the sustainability um, industry.
That's true.
So
That's
pursue
true.
the certifications you can, and keep learning, keep growing. Nobody's an island. Keep
Mm-hmm.
seeking to know more. And yes, the sky is just the starting point for every one of us in this career path.
Yes. Yes. That's right. That's right. I mean, yes, keep learning, because learning never stops, no matter how you think you've learned, right? So, thank you
Yes.
very much for that advice, and I
Thank
believe
you.
people are gonna watch this, audience. They're going to be, motivated and inspired, especially those who want to switch lines, like switch careers or disciplines. Uh,
Mm,
so awesome! Thank you very much,
thank
Francis.
you.
Did I pronounce that well? Sorry again.
No, you didn't. But I'll take it. Frances.
Frances. Okay, okay. This
Mm.
was actually my first time of seeing this version of the name France,
Yeah, I know.
Francisca, and so on. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for this
All right.
wonderful episode that you agreed to feature in. Thank you for your time, and we keep in touch.
Thank you very much. I hope it helped, and everyone can always ask questions and contribute in the comment section, because
Yeah,
I'm also
unfortunately,
here
we didn't
to
have
learn.
time. Yeah, we didn't have time to give chance to people to ask questions, but Yeah, I believe probably they will ask later on because it's gonna be on YouTube. So
I will
um,
engage in the comment section.
yeah. So thank you very much, and
Thank you.
see you another time. And have a good evening. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.